Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sharper Edge podcast, episode number 25. And welcome to the new year. It is 2026. I won't say everybody's excited about 2026, but for most of us, we know that when a new year comes in, not just approaches, but comes in, that we have all of these new things. We appreciate the newness of the year, right? We are more inspired at the beginning of the year to try and do something new. So we have these goals that might still be hanging out there from last year that we did not reach. So we're looking at those goals again and we're taking a fresh approach to them. We're saying, hey, we still got to go for this thing. This is what we really want. And maybe we didn't hit it in 2025. Maybe we didn't hit it in 2024, but we're going to go for it in 2026 and make this situation better for us because we're looking for progress, right? We're looking for a better us. All that new year, new you stuff that's been going on forever. It's the approach we have. People had resolutions. People still have resolutions. And yeah, there should be some revolutions as well. Considering the environment we live in these days, some things need to be revolutionized, right? So when I talk about freshness and resilience and revitalization of ourselves and where we live and where we work, that's what New Year's do for us. All of these New Year approaches, we are looking at to be our best. And we also recognize that our lives are pressing on. They're moving forward. And sometimes they're moving forward in ways we don't necessarily like or in ways that we don't want to stick with because we know there is better and we can be better. So we're often looking for what can we do in this new year and what can we get rid of that we were doing in 2025 so that it's no longer a hindrance for us? Who are the people we need to let go? What's some of the mindset that we need to let go? What are some behaviors of our own that we need to just dispense with because they got in our way last year and we're just not bringing that into another year? You have to ask yourself, what am I bringing into 2026 that I need to keep? And what am I still grappling with in 2025 that I'm bringing into 2026? Because you don't want just the year to change and you're still doing the same thing you did the year before. Some people are giving up on themselves. They don't feel like they can do anything different. They feel like they've tried everything already. It's just another year. They're going in with pessimism and negativity. They don't really see a bright spot or a highlight for them in the year to come. They only see what's in front of them, which is struggle, which is difficulty, which is what it has been for some time. But because they haven't changed some of the things they're doing, well, yeah, you can't keep doing the same things and expecting a different result, right? We all know that. So if we want things to be different, we have to be different. We have to think differently. And we have to think about the possibilities. So what I want to share with you today in this podcast for this week is what's in and what's out for 2026. Okay, what's in and what's out for 2026. We're going to think about what are the things we need to leave behind in 2025 and what are the things we want to start, restart, or bring forward in 2026 that's going to benefit us. So if we were now a year ahead in January of 2027, what should we have done in 2026 for us to say it was a great year? 2026 was fantastic for me. Why was it fantastic for you? Now, I don't want to move on too fast without acknowledging my new sort of little set, right? You can't see all the title. I recognize that, but I had to move a little bit because, just as an aside, I'm in a room that has a lot of windows and there's a lot of sunlight that just flows into this window, into this room. And it was blocked and filtered for quite a while by the trees that my neighbors had in their backyard. Wonderful trees, beautiful trees that would change color every fall. And for whatever reason, the neighbors, they're new, they just moved in a few months ago, decided to take down probably 12 to 15 trees in their backyard. So, the sunlight is here. I love the sunshine. Based on the season, it's going to set in different ways. And so in December, I noticed that where I had my last location, the sun was coming in, was beaming in, and those rays would just block out my face. So no longer can I do it there. This is a nicer area. It's not as direct in the sunlight. So I'm hoping that it will work for us. All right. So this is why you see me in a different spot and you can't see all my words because I'm kind of in a corner But hey, it is what it is. We're going to keep working on it. I'm hoping that this podcast, episode number 25, I love it. And I hope the podcast itself will continue to evolve. So please, by all means, tell people about it, like it, subscribe to it, come back every week to see what I'm talking about. Please get involved in the discussions and the conversations, because I'm eager to hear about what you have to say about what you've seen and what you've heard. I'm eager to hear what your thoughts are. And yes, in 2026, I am going to be a little bit more assertive in terms of inviting you to more private spaces with me to help better you. If you are willing and ready to invest in yourself, to develop you. Remember, this podcast is all about people issues. And if this is your first time visiting, this is what we talk about. Please go back and look at the first 24 episodes, because I'm looking for ways to help people build better connections, stronger relationships, and just all around a better life for themselves in the parts of it that they can control, which is them and their mindset and the people who are around them. So it's a journey, right? And I want to go on this journey with you. I don't have all the answers, but I have worked with thousands of people across this country over the past nearly 20 years. I'll say probably, 19 and a half. My business will have been in existence for 20 years in May. So I've had the opportunity to coach people, to train people, to hear their stories, to learn from them, to recognize what they're doing that's working and the things that aren't, to see the repercussions of doing things that don't work for people, and the huge successes when people get it right, and how much joy they have, and how much stronger they feel, and how much more confident they are in themselves. So I want to bring that to you. One of the ways I plan to bring that to you is through a series of sessions that I am going to narrow down to 8 cohorts. The maximum number of people that can fit into the first one is 8, because I want this to be individualized in the approach, yet collaborative enough with other people that you can hear from them. You can form a better relationship with folks. You can build a network of people. You can be honest. You can be open. It is confidential, but we share. I'd love it if there were other people in the room who could share with you. So, while we go out and we spend a lot of money on ourselves for all of our outside accoutrements, for our hair and our nails and our suits and our clothes, all the things that men and women do to better themselves on the outside, we don't often spend enough on ourselves to develop us on the inside. And that's what really matters. How we treat each other, how we control ourselves, how we allow ourselves to be happy in our lives, how we set goals for ourselves and achieve them, how we get personal satisfaction from the things that we do that matter to us. So I want to help you get there. And that's why I'm saying in this year, we're going to do that together. So I have a program called it comes from my book, Crushing Goliath. You heard me talk about it last year. And so I'm expanding that. It's the Crushing Goliath a self-development series for people who want to invest in themselves. I have a Crushing Goliath training series that I sell to corporations when they want to build or bring in teams of people to be trained, especially around leadership and teamwork. But if you're an individual whose company won't pay for you to go to training and you just want to be better on your own, then here I am ready for you. All you have to do is make the investment. So I'm having an informational session on January 15th. It's virtual at 11 a.m. So wherever you are, if you can get in front of a computer or in front of some type of device to sit in and hear what I have to say, to tell you a little bit more about the details, and you can make a better and more informed decision about whether you want to be a part of it, because it launches in February. Please, by all means, be a part of that information session. The link is in my bio or in the comment section below, and I'd be happy to share with you as much as I can about what you will experience over those next 8 sessions that I think are going to be life-changing for you. So with that being said, I want to hop to today's topic as well, because it's just an extension of all that I've been talking about, these people issues, right? So today I want to talk about what's out in 2026 and what's in 2026. There are 3 things in particular. I always try to give you something you can use. So today is no different. And I want to share with you 3 things that you can take out of 2026 if you, I mean, yeah, don't bring into 2026 with you if it was with you in 2025, but some things you should include in 2026. So first things first, self-centeredness is played, okay? So often I saw in 2025 how everybody, not everybody, but many people chose to focus on self, to be isolated, to think only of them. I saw a lot of criticism of people who were not like them. I saw people be very critical of folks who thought differently from them, dressed differently from them, believed differently from them. And as a result of it, a lot of negativity was just spewed in these spaces. And all it did, of course, was put the other person on the defensive, or the organization on the defensive, where they felt like they had to come back at the person to defend themselves and to cast themselves in a better light. I saw this on an individual basis. I saw this on an organizational basis, where people may have criticized an organization for a stance they took on something, and they felt like they had to protect their reputation and their brand. So they were cornered and felt like they had to become defensive. What we have to think about is, when we think only of ourselves, when we don't reach out to other people, when we don't consider and be empathetic about the trials and the tribulations of other people, we're being arrogant, really. We're thinking that where we are is much better than where somebody else is. You got to be thinking that way if you think you have or if you have the audacity to judge somebody else and place yourself upon this pedestal and just ignore the needs and the struggles of others. I think we become a society that only looks within, and we only back up and support those who are like us. We become very tribal at times. We haven't learned how to network with people, to be compassionate and thoughtful about other people who may need it. We just look at people superficially without a lot of context, and we make judgments about them. So that self-centeredness says, it's about me. I don't care what you need. It's about my job. It's about my family. It's about my happiness. And so I'm going to do whatever I need to. I'm going to step on whoever I need to. I'm going to ignore whoever I need to. I'm going to strive only for myself and leave whoever else behind that I need to. That's not only self-centered, but it is also hugely, hugely destructive to building relationships. Self-centeredness is bred in arrogance. So for the person who focuses only on self, they tend to be the type of people who you would see lift themselves more than they lift others. They think better of themselves than they think of other people. That's why it's easy for them to be critical of other folks. Somehow they think they've got everything all sewn up, nice and neat. Others can't compete with them, even though they compare themselves with a lot of people. They always look to what's most important in terms of making them look good. And it's very superficial, a lot of things they think are important. And that's sad, because at the end of the day, if they would only learn to embrace other people and to get outside of themselves, they'd find a whole bushel of opportunities that would and could await them if they were more collaborative, which brings me to what's in 2026. So what's in 2026 is collaboration, right? You can't be self-centered and collaborative at the same time. It looks like this if you try. You're doing whatever it is you want to do, and you're leaving the team behind. You are ignoring what everybody else has said, and you're pressing and pushing for your own ideas. This is terrible in the workplace, and it's awful in leadership. You might have a team of people who have lots of ideas that they want to share. They've got a lot of innovative ways to do things. They have, ways that they want to contribute to the team and the group, but the leader is so busy and so caught up in their own ideas that they are ignoring the ideas of the people around them. They're not even asking. And if somebody is willing to share, they're cutting them down before the person can really express what they intend to do or what they think will work. And as a result of that, of course, people tend to shut down. Ideas, start becoming very few and far between, and the organization becomes stagnant. The team becomes stagnant because there's nothing new and fresh. Nobody wants to contribute on a team and to a leader who's virtually ignoring them and devaluing what they have to contribute. So a collaborative environment involves a strong team, a cohesive team. And that's driven by the leader. The leader comes into a meeting and says, hey, I want to hear your ideas about Project A. This leader doesn't come in acting like they know everything. They don't shut people down as soon as they try to present an idea. They actually will stop for a minute and think about it, even if right off the bat they know that's not something that they can do. The leader will say, well, let me at least consider this, or let me take what you're saying under advisement. I'll get back with you to let you know if we can do it or not. And then they will get back with them. If it's a no, it's a no. A person can accept a no. They can't accept being ignored, right? Or feeling devalued because they've been shut down and cut down from being a valuable contributor to the team. So I encourage all leaders to stay open-minded, invite other people into the discussion. Yes, you can make the executive decisions at the end of the day, but you have to be one who communicates what you see in other individuals. You got to look at their strengths. And you got to say, hey, I got people around me who know more than I do. That's why they're on my team. And I need to consult with them to make sure that I'm making wise decisions or that I'm not overlooking something that's important. There's nothing worse than a team coming together and getting excited about a project because they all talked about it and they're ready to do their part on it. And the leader comes in who has hardly talked to the team, who has hardly listened to the team, and they just blow up the whole idea. So self-centeredness is out and collaboration is in. So I highly encourage you to find ways to collaborate with your teams, collaborate with other people, collaborate with other organizations, especially if you're a nonprofit. Look for ways to contribute to people's lives in a positive way. So helping them be a part of their own success is a great way to do that. And whether you're doing that in your work environment or in your personal lives, look for a way to connect more collaboratively and cohesively with others. Here's what else is out in 2025. Complaining. Can we stop with the whining and the groaning and the moaning? Can we do some things without something attached that tears down while we're trying to build up? You know, social media is the worst, and I know I'm on social media right now, but it is the worst when it comes to people finding something to judge, something to complain about, something to be critical about. And we find often that the most widely shared viral videos are those where it's something controversial or a picture, something controversial. So it was really interesting to me. One of the things that I didn't think we could have controversy over was peace, Peace. There's a bunch of Buddhist monks walking across the country to just exemplify peace, what peace looks like, to promote peace, to try to get to Washington, D.C., I guess, to talk to the folks who are in power there and emphasize or demonstrate or exhibit what peace looks like at a time when it seems like this country is in constant turmoil. Now it seems like we're getting into wars with people. They're small skirmishes, but they can escalate into a lot of bigger things. And I see people complain about it. I hear people, groan often about this administration. And for lots of good reasons. I've seen some things that I really don't agree with in this organization or this administration. Nonetheless, and people have their opinions. They can have their opinions. There are people who can support this administration. Hey, go for it. If that's what you like, if everything they're doing suits you, then fine, that's what you voted for, knock yourself out. If you did not vote for it, you did not, and you don't like what's going on because you knew this was going to happen and it makes you miserable and angry and frustrated, then I feel your frustration, right? You can feel the way you want to. Bottom line is, this is why we have a free society where you can go and vote people in and out of office, where you can go in on any street and protest. And even if the protest is silent, even if the protest is peaceful, some folks were so concerned that these people were Buddhists that they totally ignored the message of peace. And it's usually Christians. I'm a Christian. I don't have any problems with Buddhists, especially if they're walking for something that Jesus proclaimed, right? And I saw oftentimes that people would say that, hey, Jesus already told us he left us with peace. Well, where's the peace, right? I just told you we're in constant turmoil. This whole globe, this planet that we're on is in turmoil. There are wars everywhere. So yes, it's an internal peace that we have to seek out. And that's what the Buddhist monks are saying. I don't see them going into anybody's church and telling them you need to be Buddhist to be peaceful. I didn't see them go in their walk as they are, their feet are just being just torn. I mean, just really destroyed out here because many of them are walking in bare feet or in shoes that aren't as comfortable for those kinds of miles. I think it's like 2,300 miles. But they're willing to make the sacrifice to spread the message. I heard one of them, I think one of the chief Buddhist priests talking about how this isn't what they wanted. They weren't expecting people to follow them. They want people to look within. They want people to be at peace with themselves, to not be distracted, to practice mindfulness, which means to be present and in the moment. We're distracted by this. Social media, all of the devices. We're not spending enough time talking to each other, learning about each other, learning about our differences, appreciating our differences. We're tearing each other down because we're different. So I don't care what these people's religion is. If your religion and your faith is so weak that the minute somebody else different from a different religion comes and speaks your language, but they don't believe like you believe, and you think that's going to somehow destroy you, then you're not as faithful as you think you are. Because as a Christian, I'm never going to be a Buddhist because my faith is too deep in what I believe as a Christian. But I'm not going to shoot down a Buddhist monk because he wants to walk down the street and tell us that and hand out a flower and speak peace and love to people. I don't see anything wrong with that. And so for the people who just whine and moan and complain about things like this, you're missing the message for the messenger. And for you Christians, again, there were, if you want to go in your word and hear what Paul had to say about the people who were spreading the gospel or at least teaching about Jesus, but for all the wrong reasons, Paul said he didn't care. He said, let them go and do it, even if their motives are wrong. He said, as long as the gospel is being spread. So while y'all are over here, complaining about these people, but not, you're actually doing the things that they're walking for. You're disrupting peace with your complaints and whining and groaning. Paul also tells everybody to do everything without groaning and complaining. So if you're going to be a Christian, you got to follow all of what we hear in the word. And so nobody's trying to proselytize and make you a Buddhist, but if they're speaking the same language we are in terms of being peaceful, then let's bring peace. Internal peace first. And then if we are grounded and centered, then we can bring peace and love into the world based on whatever your faith is. So complaining needs to be out in 2025, especially on social media. All of these viral videos and stories that keep going out because they're negative, those circulate far faster and greater and wider than the positive and uplifting messages. And we've got to shift that in 2026. So what's in 2026 is progress, success, accomplishment, achievement. And if you don't get to your end goal, at least you're moving forward. When we are striving for greater things in our lives, we're looking for the fix. We're looking for solutions. We're looking for the next step. We're looking for incremental wins. And so you have to be positive for that to happen. And yes, you will have setbacks. Yes, you will have stumbling blocks. Sometimes those setbacks and stumbling blocks are us. We're doing it to ourselves because why? We're complaining. Okay. So get rid of the complaints and look for progress. Look for what works. Look for what you can do to move yourself forward, to move the world forward towards things like peace and love. Move yourself closer to your goals. What are you striving for? What's got you, up early in the morning pressing forward? What's got you staying up late at night because you're so excited about it and your interest is so high in it, and every little waking moment you can find to do that thing you're trying to do it? That's where we need to be. And so how do we get there? If you're a business owner like myself and you've set goals for your business, where do you want to be at the end of 2026? And what are you doing to get there? That's what I'm going to be talking about when we do our 8-session series. We're going to be talking about making ourselves everything we want ourselves to be and how to hit those goals and set realistic goals. And then when things don't go well, not to become a complainer, but to keep looking at how we keep putting one foot in front of the other and making our way towards our goal. All right. So another thing that we're going to leave in 2025 and not bring into 2026, and I've already referenced it, but I want to be more pointed about it, is judgment. We see it all the time where people are constantly judging other people. We judge people superficially. We act as if we know everything that's going on in their lives. We don't, of course, We judge how they act, we judge what they wear, we judge what they do. And in actuality, we really don't know a lot about what's happening. We create stories around what we think is going on with the limited amount of information we have, or no information at all. But we sit in judgment of people, and we are critical and we are cruel. And it's as if we feel like our lives are so much better when we know that we have our own struggles, our own trials. And so we've always said it, right? It's been going on since the beginning of time, where people sit and watch other people when in actuality they need to stay in their own lanes. I can really appreciate those people who say, mind your own business, right? Nobody asks for your rhetoric or your assessment of another person unless those people are in the same spot as you, where they sit in their, in their arrogance, in their comparison to another person, where they lift themselves up. And this is what I think, this is what I see oftentimes when you see people sit in judgment of other people. There are all kinds of reasons why they do what they do, but I believe the one that's most commonly used or expressed is because people sit and compare themselves with other folks. And in order for them to feel good about the mess their own lives are, they need somebody else's life to be worse off. So that way they can inflate themselves, at least in their own minds, if nothing else, to say, well, at least I'm not as bad as. And so as a result of that, they will sit and denigrate other people and make all kinds of false judgments about folks, because they really don't have a clear idea of what's going on with people. They just make a lot of assumptions, and they take those assumptions as true, knowing full well that they don't have enough contact or depth of information about somebody else. And even if they did, it still is destructive to sit and talk about somebody else, to gossip about another person, and for most of that gossip to be untrue and just negative, and to spread it around. So we've got to stop getting into other people's lives. We've got to stop being on the hunt for what it is that is controversial and messy and just gossipy. When you start picking up the phone and you're calling people to get the scoop on other folks, when you are looking for that little group of people who likes to indulge in the quiet conversations, the whisper campaigns that go on about other people, then you're actually on a hunt for that stuff. You're looking for it. And as a result of it, somehow you get some satisfaction from that. But what you're doing in the meantime is destroying somebody else's life by propagating some of the negative information that you are you're creating it yourself and even spreading. And then a lot of it just perpetuating untruths about a person. If the same thing was happening to you, and quite possibly could be, and how angry and frustrating that is to you, I don't know why you can't see why that would have the same impact on another person. So in 2026, we're leaving the judgment behind. We're leaving the negativity behind. We're leaving all of the things that cause us to look at another person in the worst way. And we're going to start looking at people from a different lens. We're going to be much more accepting. And when I say accepting, what I mean is, if however a person wants to live their life, let them do it. If they're not getting in the way of your life, if they're not causing harm to themselves, if they're not causing harm to other people, then I say leave them alone. Let them do what they want to do. You can scroll past stuff on their social media pages. You can avoid sitting next to them at some public place. You can avoid going to their house. You can avoid being around them at work, or just being with them but absolutely necessary. But you don't have to be their friends. You don't have to falsely compliment them. You don't have to fake anything. Even if you don't agree with what they're doing, then let them be them, right? Everybody can't be you. Everybody doesn't want to be you. Everybody doesn't want to act like you and to live like you and to talk like you and to have your same interests. So whatever they want to do that makes them happy, then allow them to be happy. Accept them for who they are and how they want to be seen and how they want to be treated. And you will save yourself a lot of frustration as well. The very last thing that we should leave out of 2026 is ignorance. 2025 was filled with ignorance. A lot of people making statements, having opinions about things that they know very little about. A lot of people co-signing on other people's foolishness without full stories, without enough of an idea of what the knowledge that they should have regarding a particular subject or object, and yet they have so much to say about it. There are people who want to remain ignorant. There are people who choose to be ignorant because the truth is too hard for them to digest. And so, um, in order for them to completely accept and satisfy whatever that hunger is within them, that says, I want this thing to be true. So I'm going to ignore the real truth. I'm going to create my own truth. I'm going to believe in stories that other people tell, even though it can be disproven, even if it has already been debunked and disproven. But I want to remain in my ignorance, because if I know the truth about something or have to accept the truth about it, then it goes against what I want to believe. And so when it goes against what I want to believe, then I have to change the way I think about things. I have to change my approach to certain things. I might have to even abandon some of what I was once supporting, because what I was once supporting is terrible. It's awful. And so people remain ignorant so they don't have to deal with the truth, because the truth causes us to act different. Well, it should. It requires that we do, but people don't want to. And so they push back on it. So let's leave ignorance in 2025, and in 2026, let's gain wisdom. Let's bring into 2026 a desire to be wiser, to be smarter, to be more knowledgeable. We will seek out the truth. We will not only seek it out, but we're going to spread it, even if we don't like it, even if it's painful, even if it's frustrating for some people. But we're going to do our homework. We're going to check multiple sources. We are going to educate ourselves. We're going to become wiser, not just smarter and more knowledgeable from a book perspective, but the wisdom that comes from experience and from learning and from knowing and from seeking out other people to help us to understand from their expertise what the truth is and what's right. So as a recap, what's out in 2025: self-centeredness, complaining, judgment, and ignorance. What's in 2026 is collaboration, progress, acceptance, and wisdom. I believe if we can practice these four things, if we can get rid of the other four and put into practice the new four that I just mentioned, we will create for ourselves the best year that we've had in a long time. 2026 can get us to the goals that we want to have. It can build us new and lasting relationships, and it can make us become better people all around if that's what we desire. I pray that it is your desire. And so if you want to continue in this vein, by all means, stick around with me. Come back and hear the podcast for next week. I have a wonderful guest with me who's going to talk about identity. And we'll be at episode 26. And if you are interested in some self-development that you want to invest in for yourself, by all means, click on the link in the comment section that will lead you to the registration of the informational meeting that will be held January 15th at 11 a.m. on Zoom, so you can learn more about this series if you want to get involved, if you want to enroll in it, because this is the year where we are going to get where we ultimately want to go and where we need to be. No more wasting time, no more making excuses, no more getting so close to our goals and never even touching them or getting to them. No more giving up on our goals, no more giving up on ourselves. All right. There's so much that awaits us. And if we were a highly driven people with the right mindset, oh my, the places we can go, the things we can do, the people we could help, and the satisfaction we can feel would just be beyond anything we can measure. So stick around, come back and see me, and let's take this journey together. Thanks so much and have a great week.